Hi everyone! So Halloween season is upon us now, and if you've watched my channel for the last few years, you'll know I've reviewed quite a few different horror, Halloween and scary themed colouring books, and this one is another one that is very worthy of adding to your collection if you are so inclined. It's called Haunted Dolls and it contains 33 images of real-life reported haunted dolls. Not only does it contain the colourable images of those dolls, it contains a story of the origin for each and every single one. So it's almost like having a ghost story book as well as a colouring book. So without further ado, let's have a look inside. So first we have a contents page telling us the names of all of the different dolls that are included in the book. There's 2 of these pages. So as you can see, we're getting quite a few different dolls and tales to look at. We've got Annabelle, Robert the Doll, Mandy, Charlie, Peggy. You might not recognise all of these names unless you're really into this kind of lore. But there's some really, really freaky stories in here. So it isn't for the faint-hearted. Now we've got an introduction here from Davina, the illustrator. Most of us have held a doll close to our heart at least once in our life. Clinging to this inanimate friend as if it were absolutely real, confiding our deepest secrets in their cotton-stuffed ears, falling asleep with them in our arms so full of perfect trust. However, in very rare cases, this innocent plaything has taken on a much more sinister role, spreading fear rather than joy within the household. Here within these pages you'll read about a collection of such dolls, haunted dolls, who reportedly plagued their owners with acts of mischief, chilling voices, and even physical violence. Prepare yourself. You may find the things you're about to read quite disturbing, especially since you most likely have at least one doll somewhere in your own home right at this very moment. Small, beady eyes watching your every move. If the thought terrifies you or if you scare easily, close this book now. So there you have it. We've got a pretty creepy book on our hands, haven't we? And straight away we start off with the first doll, which many of you will be familiar with because of the very popular horror franchise, Annabelle. I'm not going to read all of the stories, obviously, but I'll just show you through so that you can see the sort of format of the book. So you'll have the story, and then you've got Davina's interpretation of the doll. So you can see here we have the original Annabelle, which was, of course, a Raggedy Ann doll and not the one that we know from the film. Now, before we continue, you might have guessed, with me being, a massive fan of horror, that I'm really, really into ghost stories and the paranormal and things like that. And this is a book that I have had for many, many years. I think it was one that my dad received when he used to have a book subscription. So he'd get sent a physical book, I think once a month. And this was one of the ones that came. And I haven't lived with my dad since I was 13 and I'm now 31. So that's how long I've had this book for. And it's absolutely fantastic. So if you're looking for something else along the lines of ghost stories and freaky little chilling tales, I would definitely get this book. It's really, really cheap now on eBay or wherever you want to get it from. So that's just a little insert of my own there. I'm not being sponsored or anything like that. It's such an old book. But yes, so definitely one to get if you're into anything like this. So we'll continue. Robert the Doll. This is a doll that I heard about, I think on an Amazon Prime programme that I watched once, and I can't remember what it was called, but I definitely remember seeing Robert the Doll on there. And here he is. So you might recognise he's one of the more popular haunted dolls. So you're not allowed to take his photograph when you go and visit him, which you can do. He's in the Fort East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida, and he's carefully preserved in a glass case. People from all over the world go and visit him. Some people even write letters to him. Most of these letters are pleading apologies from people who feel that they must have offended him in some way when they visited, having encountered great amounts of misfortune after their encounter with the doll. He's been blamed for many things, but apparently he does not tolerate being disrespected. Next we have the Isle of the Dolls. Perhaps more disturbing than one single haunted doll is a collection of hundreds, especially when they all reside on an abandoned island, rotting, blackened with filth, and covered in cobwebs, their vacant eyes watching every person who dares step foot in their domain. It's creepy. I'm not going to read the whole story because I want you to have that experience for yourself when you get the book, but here's a few of those dolls from Isla de las Muñecas. Definitely pronounced that wrong. So I'm just going to go through these so you can see the actual images that you'll be colouring and not sort of go through each and every single story. Lots of different cultures involved in these stories. And some of them are scarier than others, depending on whether you get creeped out by dolls or not. Because I think if you do, all of these are going to freak you out a little bit. But yeah, look at all these smashed up dolls with the cracks and the broken pieces everywhere. Charlie, 1968 New York, who was found in the attic of a Victorian home in a tattered trunk stuffed with old newspapers that were dated from the 1930s. So, don't know where he's from, but it's located only 10 minutes from Salem, Massachusetts, which I believe Salem witch trials, that's where that comes from. Peggy. In 2015, Jane Harris, a paranormal investigator in the UK, was contacted by a very distraught woman in need of her expertise. The woman told Jane she'd come into possession of a doll and that with the acquisition she'd begun having terrifying nightmares and nausea, for which she'd blamed the toy. She went on to say that she had tried to relocate the doll throughout the house to ease the symptoms. No matter where she placed the doll, the nightmares persisted. She'd also sought the help of 2 different priests, but neither had been able to solve the issue, and both had left her home feeling ill with fever and hallucinations. Harold. Ooh, I like the demonic presence behind some of these dolls. Joliet, which must be French, surely. Don't think it says. But very, very creepy. It's all very sinister, isn't it, and macabre. The zombie voodoo doll. And then the elusive ones. These dolls were a bit harder to find information on. So I guess the stories of these dolls are just sort of what Davina could gather from not very much information about them. Edward the Teddy. Composition Boy, that's an interesting title, isn't it? Composition dolls were once quite popular in many countries. Made from a combination of wax, glycerin, glue and zinc oxide, these dolls are very heavy, so the durability and the weight of them was their signature quality, but the exact mixture was kept secret by each manufacturer, all competing for the best recipe. So this particular doll was the gift to an 8-year-old boy, and he absolutely loved him. He was attached to his doll, took it everywhere he went, but apparently one night he died from asthma-related complications. The parents kept the doll, remembering how the boy had adored it, and soon realised that perhaps he was still attached to his treasured toy. How they realised that, I'll let you get the book and read it for yourself. Sargamos, maybe that's how you say it. So this one is a demonic doll. Rather than having vibrant eyes and a smile, this doll's gaze is lifeless and dull above a mouth that seems to be forever frozen in a silent scream. Apparently, he's now available on eBay. Or was then anyway when this book was created. But would you bid? Would you want one of these haunted dolls in your house? So we've got Sally, we've got Lacey, and Ruby. Ted the Clown is the one that I've started to colour. Unfortunately, I haven't had time to finish him off yet, but I did want to get this book review out there so that you can grab yourself a copy well before Halloween if you're wanting to colour something creepy at this time of year. So we've got the Shadow Doll, which is really, really freaky. It looks like an old woman. Apparently, she's constructed of actual animal and human bone, with her hair being made of wiry black feathers. Ooh. Katya the Russian Doll. Oh, wow. That is not something you want to see running up to you outside, is it? Samson. He's got his own little toys on the shelf there, and I think he wants to play. He's been described as very jealous and possessive of his caretakers, acting out when their attention is directed to another person, animal or doll. He torments any animals or children that steal his owner's affections. In one case, he appeared in a baby's crib, though he had previously been in another room. Wow. The Blindfolded Doll of Singapore. How freaky is that? A blindfolded doll. Why would you need to blindfold a doll if they can't see anything? That's the thing, isn't it? Amanda. Designed by Heinrich Handwerk. Amanda the doll was made in 1984. So she was sold on eBay as well, and the seller claims that strange things happened around the doll and they wanted to be rid of her. It's always that kind of story, isn't it? That these dolls are creating such mayhem and havoc in the house that they have to be gotten rid of. But sometimes they can't be, can they? You could put them in the bin and then they end up back in the house, and it's all really freaky. Amelia, the Italian doll. whose arms and legs aren't even attached. Then we've got just plain Amelia. Again, it looks like we've got an eBay listing for Amelia here. It says, in the original eBay posting, she had brilliant blue eyes and was claimed to be surrounded by supernatural activity. A collector purchased her. When she arrived, she seemed to be just an ordinary doll. As such, she was put away in a room, the claims of haunting forgotten. That is, until one night when the man heard a loud thumping coming from the room where she was kept. Every time he would check on her, she seemed to have moved slightly. One evening, he heard a loud thump against his bedroom door, opened it, and found that she was there in the hallway outside his door. Ooh. Now we've got some honourable mentions. A few more dolls, not haunted, but definitely creepy. The Applehead doll. Again, it's another really weird kind of old womanish shriveled faced doll. But yeah, I really like this one actually. I don't know why. It's just, it looks really sort of soft and grandma-like, and it doesn't seem like it'd do you much harm at all. But then again, there is a knife down there, so you never know. Patty Reed's doll. The Jamesville doll. The doll that aged. Oh wow, so this is like Benjamin Button type thing, isn't it? It's like this little tiny doll that looks like a granddad. Dolls are generally made to be attractive with plump rosy cheeks, bright eyes and smooth youthful skin. This doll, however, looks more like the Crypt Keeper. His skin is shriveled and gaunt, his eyes are sunken in and beady, and his mouth is twisted into a malicious sneer. La Pasqualeata, no? La Pasqualeata. This is a tale from Mexico. So this is, it looks like a bridal mannequin, I think. Yes, I think it is. La Pascualita first appeared in the dress shop window in 1930 after the shop owner's daughter had died, and the doll apparently bears a striking resemblance to the daughter who died on her wedding day, having been bitten by a black widow spider. Atlanta's Doll Head Trail. When you go for a hike in the woods, the scariest thing you would expect to encounter might be snakes or wild animals, maybe even a spider or two, but not creepy dolls. However, if you visit Constitution Lakes Park in Atlanta, Georgia, that's exactly what you'll find. Who's ready for a road trip? So this is a bit about the author now. Here's Davina. It said that she was born in Northwest Florida. She currently lives in Pennsylvania, and as an entrepreneur, artist and author, she's travelled all across the United States collecting inspiration for writing and art along the way. In addition to her writing, she runs a local small business and is the mother of 2 daughters, and I believe she also recently became a grandmother, so congratulations, Davina. It says she loves being outdoors, camping, hiking, kayaking, all of that good stuff. But she also obviously adores all things creepy. And then you've got some links for Davina there for you to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and Patreon. And here, I guess, is a Davina doll. Now, a great thing about this book is at the end, Davina has included real pictures of the dolls from this book. So we've got the real Annabelle, Robert the Doll, Composition Boy, from Atlanta's Doll Head Trail, Peggy, Sally. There's loads and loads. I think all of them have been pictured. I'm not sure though. We've got La Pascualita, the bridal doll, the blindfolded doll of Singapore, the doll that aged. All of the creepiness is here for you to see, the actual ones. That one is really, really freaky. And then we've just got a special thanks from Davina and a patron shout out. And that's it. So it is an Amazon printed book, so for those of you who've bought from Amazon before, you'll know that the paper is fairly thin, but obviously, as you can see, it takes coloured pencil and alcohol marker very, very well indeed. I just had to put something in between this page and the next one so that it wouldn't bleed through. But yes, you can layer, you can do anything you want on this paper. It's totally fine, it's just quite thin. So the link to buy this book will of course be in the description, and I really hope you've enjoyed my review. Do let me know in the comments if you have any haunted doll stories or anything creepy, objects moving around in your home, things like that. I love to hear any kind of supernatural tales, ghost stories, experiences, anything like that. So do tell me about them in the comments below and I'll have fun reading them. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon on Colour with Claire.